In this video I'd like to concentrate on my hydrangeas, which are coming out now, especially the Japanese ones. But just for a couple of detours first, here is a Chilean plant with scalloped leaves called Francoa sonchifolia. This originally I bought as Rogerson's form because Dr. Rogerson was a GP in Braunton, which is quite near Barnstaple where I live, and it was a deeper pink. But I think this may be the seedling from the original and it has reverted to type. Never mind, it's still a very attractive plant with wand-like flowers. And the other diversion from hydrangeas is this New Zealand broom, Carmichaelia odorata, which, as its name suggests, has a lovely sweet smell. You may remember seeing the weeping one in a previous video. This one has rather flattened, what they call cladodes, leaves. And these pea flowers, which are very sweetly scented. It comes from the north of the South Island of New Zealand and the south of the North Island of New Zealand. You can tell I've spent a while practicing that. And it's a bit tender, a bit more tender than the other. I'm going to make a start on hydrangeas by looking at the Japanese hydrangeas, serrata. They're good value. They come out in June, end of June, carry on flowering. And they range from tiny to large flowers. This one is fairly small flowered. And when I say small flowered, I do mean small flowered. This one has teeny flowers. And here is one with reddish leaves and bicolored flowers. Next to which is a very large bush of a hydrangea, which is a stunning shade of blue, which doesn't really come out on the video. Coming around behind the electric blue hydrangea serrata, there is this red one doing its best to get noticed. Again, it has its blue eyes and a slightly pale centre. Coming away from it, we come up to a much larger flowered hydrangea, and it's got double bracts around the central flower, which is rather nice. We come round the wedding cake tree and come across a hydrangea called Diadem. It's a lovely sort of electric blue colour, which I'm afraid you probably can't make out on this video. Coming around the side of it, we see some flowers on Coelacanthus Aphrodite, who we met last video or two, and we're confronted by a bush of Deutzia gracilis. Behind the hydrangea, I'm rather keen on this combination of the Coelacanthus, the hydrangea, and the Deutzia. And the Deutzia may not seem related to my hydrangea themed video, but actually Deutzias are members of the hydrangea family. Near Diadem we see a bush of Hydrangea Tiara, introduced by that great plantsman Maurice Foster. As we are indulging in detours, I bring you round to see this magnificent flowering shrub, a small tree really, in its full glory at the moment, and it's called Clethra barbinervis from China. The Clethras in America are known as pepper bushes because of this scent, which is a kind of spicy sweet scent. And of course there's an added attraction to this particular form of barbinervis, which is the tree-like form. There is a shrubby form, and that is the trunk. One day I was clearing the lower branches off it and discovered that it's got a most wonderful patterned, smooth barked trunk, almost like a stewartia. Now here are some of these Hydrangea macrophylla, different species from the Japanese ones. Again, hundreds of different varieties. And this one is called Sandra, pink-edged white flowers or bracts. Making our way past the endangered conifer from China called Cathea argyrifolia, we come round to a couple of very old varieties of Hydrangea macrophylla. In front is white wave, and in the back we have the flowers of Générale Vicomtesse de Vibray. How about that? Coming round from the Huon Pine, we come across a completely unmistakable hydrangea. She's called Ayesha and has very, very fleshy petals, which are blue in this acid soil. And you could pick her out in an identity parade of hydrangeas with no problem at all with these fleshy petals of hers. We come around to visit one or two of the oldest bushes I've got of Hydrangea macrophylla, but just on the way we pass Lomatia myricoides from Australia. This unfortunate shrub had a rotten big branch which had to be removed, and then the neighbouring tree fell on the rest of it. Ignominious, but there we are, it's recovering. But next to it, more than recovering, is a sister plant called Lomatia fraseri, which is absolutely full of its scented flowers. This comes from New South Wales. It sits next to a rather elegant weeping conifer from Tasmania, Lagerostrobus franklinii. Next to Ayesha and the Huon Pine is the original black-stemmed Hydrangea macrophylla, of which now there are lots of varieties bred for their rather dramatic black stems. I believe this one is one of the first to have this black stem. Well, we come round to see Pan, and he's guarding 3 of my old hydrangeas. This one is known as Tokyo Delight. Oh, it sounds slightly dodgy to me. Coming round this enormous bush, which must be at least 25 years old. We continue round to the second of the 3, which I love, and this is Madame Moulière. Again, it must be at least 20 years old. And rounding the corner past Madame Moulière, we have our final rather gorgeous red lace cap macrophylla'Hydrangea, Rotschwanz, which I believe is German for redstart. Coming away from Rotschwanz, we passed by the enormous leaves of Bergenia ciliata. This comes from Afghanistan, northern India, as well as Bhutan, amongst other places. Slightly tender, completely herbaceous, and its pale whitey pink flowers will be coming out soon. Behind it is another hydrangea here, which has rather startling blue flowers. And it's one of these that I found in a garden centre, so one of the commercial sort of warehouse garden centres who just labelled it Hydrangea Blue, depending on the soil, of course, but they didn't mention that. In this rush tour, this is Hydrangea Lady in Red, which looks awfully like Rotschwanz to me. Still, it makes a stunning colour, certainly in this acid soil. Here's a small lace cap hydrangea, and the leaf is ever so slightly greyish in tinge. And next to it, a sweet little hydrangea, Hydrangea involucrata, just starting to flower. Come up to Hollybell. Starts off with these sort of cup-shaped flowers and then goes to classic open ones. Leaving Hydrangea Hollybell, we end this whistle-stop tour of our hydrangeas here at Upper Gorwell with the flowers of the North American oak-leafed hydrangea, Hydrangea quercifolia, the purple flowers of Hydrangea macrophylla Geoffrey Chadbund, and a pale blue hydrangea at the back, whose name I cannot remember, but possibly another plant of Vibrae. And next time we'll be looking at more hydrangeas. There are so many, including some of the later flowering ones.